Hi everybody, welcome to the new episode of Building the Environmental Sensor Kit. Happy New Year! If you guys are following along live, wish you all the best for 2018. Today we're going to look at how we put all the components together and how they can communicate to a phone via Bluetooth. Alright, so here's the very simple way you can assemble everything and get everything going. Now, one bit of advice before you start. Make sure you already check which sensor goes into which port. You can make a note of it. And this is going to be very handy for when you take the code we're going to give you and assign each sensor, each port, to a piece of the code. We're going to look at that next. All right, so let's take a look at how we assemble everything quickly. So now I'm sure you're wondering a few things, such as why is there a screen or why does the box look so strange? So here's some things. Yes, we did add a screen and that created a whole bunch of nightmares for us. The reason we have the screen is to make debugging simpler. So when something goes wrong in this example, you'll be able to display something on screen. That's the theory. In reality, we run into some issues. Here's why. We're using a shield, and I'm sure many of you are going to be using a similar shield, and those shields have a 5 volt to 3 volt converter. Now, to write things on the screen, you need 5 volt. But if you run on 5 volt, the temperature sensor and the sound sensor we use go haywire. So we had to find an in-between solution. You guys may want to do the same. Pretty much we're running in 3 volts all the time, so we have the right temperature and sound curves, and we just use the screen almost as a LED. It's a LED screen and it's going to go from red to yellow to other colors based on different things. That was a lesson learned, painful one, but we did learn it. The other thing we learned is that not all USB phone plugs are created equal. So when we're running in 5 volts, see now we have a nice 5 volt environment and markers. We found that some of these plugins were 3 volts, some of these plugins were 5 volt. And that's another example. As you're going to be plugging electricity and power through the board, make sure you're right, you use the right setup. And finally, why do we have such a big box for such a small card? That's a good question. Well, you probably recall what happened to the nice place where we built things around here. It burned to the ground. So right now we're using old boxes. We did using a laser cutter. Once we have access to a new laser cut, we're going to make some new design for the boxes and we'll share the files with you. If some of you go and create your own files, please share that along. That may save a lot of time to the other people who are watching as well. Alright, so let's get to the last part where we're going to be sending data from the card all the way to your phone. At this stage, you're going to have two options. If you're using an Arduino, you can go straight to our GitHub and download a sketch that you're going to be loading onto the Arduino. If you're using the ST version of the card, which we're doing as well for this build, we're going to be pushing the same build pretty soon. So remember to let us know on the GitHub page, on the comments, that you need the build, and we'll send that your way. Push that on board, power up the board, and at this stage the screen should turn white or yellow. That is going on, it's working well. You're going to need now to interact between the board and the phone. Now to do this, eventually we're going to give you guys access to the SmartTrans mobile app with a special feature on it, and you'll be able to access the data. But right now, just to check, the best thing you can do is download a very simple Bluetooth app. We are using something called Light Blue, or on the ST world we're using ST Blue MS. And what you can do is download those apps. You will see all the Bluetooth devices next to you. One of them will be the SmartTrans app. You can click on it, and at this stage, you will be able to do pairing and see the data going back and forth. Honestly, of all the different steps, the Bluetooth part may be the one that gives you the most trouble based on which setup you're using. That's pretty much it for this week. Let us know how the build goes. Next week, we'll be looking at sending data all the way to your server and doing things with that. So if you have any questions, make sure you send that along either on GitHub or through the comments. Have a great week and keep building.